Welcome back to Weighing In. We're talking about the 120-pound weight class. This year's videos are sponsored by Rothman Orthopedic Institute. And if there's ever a storyline we're following in Atlantic City at 120 pounds, it's Anthony Clark. He's going for his third straight state title. Pat, this has to be his to win.
You think that when you look at the resume and you look at the history, he's certainly been a sensational wrestler all the way, no doubt about it. This stat blows my mind every time I see it. He's only given up 22 points in 25 of his 36 wins from last year that went the distance. The guy just doesn't get scored on, and that matters down in Atlantic City. When every match is close, you need a guy that can just grind it out, and he always does. He always comes through. I love his composure. I think he has that real champion's mentality, and 3 for 3, we'll see.
Now, there are a couple wrestlers in this weight class who maybe could upset the apple cart. Bill, what are you thinking?
Well, Eddie Ventresca from Pope John, he made the Beast of the East final earlier this year. He was second in the weight class where Clark was fourth, beat a wrestler that Clark lost to, which is how he moved to #1 in our rankings. He's been dominant all year. Beat Justin Beardunfel, who's a state place winner, beat him pretty handily. He's looked good, and maybe even is the favorite. He was also a third-place finisher at States last year. Another guy to look out for, Dylan Cedeno from Bergen Catholic. He was a fair one the last 2 years, came into the States with a lot of hype, and didn't place, had a couple bad state tournaments. But we'll see if this is the year that he breaks through. Now,
every year in Atlantic City, you see a wrestler or two who goes on an unexpected run. Joe, maybe a guy in this weight class that could do it?
Well, I think there is. I think Anthony White of South Plainfield is the guy who can do that. I mean, this kid is long, aggressive, and he is a cradle-throwing son of a gun. I mean, he knows how to finish people. He has only one gear, and that's forward. I mean, the tough part for us is we're trying to analyze things without the brackets. That's not going to be seated until Tuesday. But, where he is capable of catching and pinning anyone. I really like the kid.
Bill, in a top-heavy bracket, there have to be a couple kids who you could see sneak their way through.
Yeah, one guy I'm looking at is Mackenzie Bell from Kingsway. Joe talked about White. Bell beat him 1-0 earlier this year. Kingsway wrestles maybe the toughest schedule in the state. One of them, they're the state Group 4 champions. They beat Phillipsburg this year. He's been battle tested all year. He was a state place winner last year. To go through a bracket with Ventresca and Clark, I mean, it might be tough for him to get to the top. I'm not saying it's not possible, but I really think he's going to end up somewhere in the top 4.
Joe, we'll start with you. In a bracket where everybody's talking about Anthony Clark, does he do it? Does he make it 3 for 3?
I do think Anthony Clark is going to win it. I mean, if this kid were a pitcher, he'd be Jacob deGrom. And I look at Anthony Clark as the new Shane Griffith. My colleagues and I know every year we would look at a bracket with Shane Griffith in it when he was at Bergen Catholic and go, nah, he can't beat this guy. He can't beat this guy. And all he did was win. That's what Anthony Clark does better than anybody. He just wins.
Pat, right now Clark is on his way to being another storied 4-time champion in New Jersey. He's got to do it again this year. Does he do it? I
think so. I really do. But I know we talked about Cabanillas and Ravano being the best final in this tournament. But how about Ventresca Clark? I think that just has the making of an instant classic too. I think it's going to be great. Obviously low scoring. One little thing changes everything. But I'm sticking with Clark, 3 for 3.
Bill, we go to you. We've got 2 guys picking Anthony Clark. Does he do it? Does he get his 3rd?
I'm going to say no. It's obviously there's a reason there's only a handful of guys that have won 4. It's really hard to do. Griffith was a 3-timer. He lost as a junior, and I think Ventresca. It's amazing these guys haven't kind of come across each other. They had 2 dual meets. They didn't wrestle, and they didn't face off in the Beast. But I just really like the way Ventresca's wrestled from the beginning of the year, and I think he takes down Clark in the final.
That wraps up our preview of the 120-pound weight class. Keep it locked on NJ.com/HS Wrestling. We'll have live video from all 3 days at Boardwalk Hall, every round of the boys and girls tournaments, plus results, brackets, photos, and more.